Hi, welcome to the Canadian City and Southern Model Railroad. Today's video is the Wolfe Mine. The mine started out as a camel's kit, and shortly after beginning construction, I realized that it needed to be modified to fit its location on the second version of the Canadian City and Southern layout. That layout was the first layout, which was primarily narrow gauge. The ore tipple was located on the side of the mine at that time, and the building was shown with the framework exposed under construction. After that, the tipple was then moved to the end of the mine, and that was mounted on a walnut display stand. That model was entered in a regional contest of the NMRA in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't have any pictures of it at that stage. Then it was moved to the third version of the Canadian City and Southern, and it remained in its frame condition for some time after that. Later on, that was modified. The roofs were rebuilt with planks instead of shingles, and the sides were put on it, and it was built to its current configuration. But some modifications had to be made from there to make it fit the location on the current fourth version of the Canadian City and Southern layout. The sidings were a little bit close together in order to make clearance for the tracks underneath. So the mine foundation area needed to be modified. Now the whole thing is made to be removable. That way I can unplug the lights and also get into the hoist mechanism. Here we're looking down into the opening where the mine sits. On the third version of the layout, I tried to hook up some sort of a pulley system to the hoist, the elevator. That didn't work very well. So eventually I attached a long arm to a tortoise switch machine and made a little basket on the end so that the counterweight to the hoist, the elevator, could ride up and down in the basket, and that worked. Now on the new layout, I've switched from tortoises to servos to save money. So this is the mechanism I've come up with, and it has a minor problem because the arc of a servo is much smaller than the arc of a tortoise with an extension. But it works fairly well, and I know how I can even improve it further. Some minor modifications needed to be made to make the model fit its current location on the fourth version of the Canadian City and Southern. The grain of wheat bulbs were removed and have been replaced with LEDs. The shades on the LEDs are home printed. The coal bunker was widened and shortened to make room for a pathway to get to the new location of the dynamite shack. The hoist control is the same sort of control I use for all my switches. All three roofs are removable to show the interior detail. Some changes were made to the ore tipple, which was largely kit bashed from the original Campbell's version. A ladder was added. The controls for the doors, which are actually open and closable, and the chutes were replaced. Extra walkways were added for safety for the miners and railroad workers when they climb up and down to open and close the gates and to raise and lower the chutes. This boulder is actually a piece from the mine tailings of the Yankee Girl mine in Red Mountain Town, Colorado. It was used as a color guide. And there's actually some low-grade ore in this piece of rock. This is the original mine cart that I made, but I realized it would be too heavy to tip on the end or sideways to dump it. It's scratch built using NN3 trucks that were filed down, and the gauge is Z gauge. This is the interior of the hoist house. There's a small coal bunker, the steam boiler, which powers the steam-powered hoist, and the hoist operator is working that. And then a small generator to power the newfangled electric lathe and machine tools and saw. In the shaft house, 2 miners have just finished doing some sorting on the sorting tables. And they've loaded the slag into these 2 carts. The carts roll quite freely on the Z-gauge track. The elevator is entirely scratch built. All of the more modern style ore carts were made to be tiltable, so they can be shown loaded or empty. The miner here is just finishing the last of the dumps into the tipple, which is now gone into the car. The shafts are open and the chutes are down. They can be closed, but that's a very delicate operation that I have to do by hand when nothing's in the way. For normal operations, the chutes will be up and the gates will be down so that locomotives and cars can pass the chutes. This boxcar is the only car that's used to carry dynamite on the railroad. A railroad worker is unloading the last box into the dynamite shack. Not very many are loaded at a time for safety reasons. There's a miner here taking a short break to get rehydrated. Safety is important at the Wolfe Mining Company. The little scratch-built ladder is used to access the roof to get up to maintain the hoist wheel for greasing, and also to change bulbs for the light at the top of the hoist. It's also useful for other things around the mine. All 21 windows and the 4 doors were all built from Kapler scale lumber. 1x2s, 2x2s, 2x4s, 1x4s. Mike and Jake in number 4 are arriving at the Wolfe passenger station. After a short stop, they'll proceed on through the tunnel into Colorado for the return trip later today. Number 8, with Lou at the throttle and Paul B firing, is arriving at Wolfe. It has a string of an idler flat and 3 empty ore cars. Headed for the turntable. After reversing, run around the train. Picking up the dynamite car and the idler flat. Pick up the loaded ore car. Drop off the empty ore cars. Drop off the caboose. Pick up the rest of the train. Pick up the caboose. Heading back down the mountain, and we'll drop the loaded ore car on the way. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe, share, like. I'll see you again next time.